Welcome back, fellow shop rats. Today we're back on the Stitches Challenger. What can we say? We just have a burn on to really get moving forward on this car, and we've accomplished an awful lot in a short time. The frame rails are both fabricated. The trunk floor support is fabricated and installed. The trunk extension is fabricated and ready to install. The inner wheel well on the driver's side is pretty well done. Two rear floor pans for inside the car into the rear seat are pretty well ready to install. We got the subframe connectors both built and laid in place to install in the car. There's a lot of final welding that I quite frankly have just been putting off for quite a while, and I think it's time that we get after it and get some of this stuff done. So we've got a little work to do here. We're going to start welding in the frame rails the rest of the way, more than just being tacked in. Get the subframe connectors in and get this car stiffened up. So we could talk about what we're going to do, and quite frankly, that's about all I have the energy to do today, but we're going to do it anyway. So let's just stop the talk and get after it. I'm Mike, and this is My Car's Shop.
Working out of a 100-year-old refurbished barn, bringing 35 years of experience to projects considered beyond repair. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place. Watch as we transform junk into polished metal miracles. This is My Car's Shop.
I always like to mention that we're doing a 70 Challenger and most everything is available for this car, but that's not true for every vehicle out there. A lot of the stuff that you guys are working on, parts may not be available for, and you may not be able to find used replacement parts. So in that case, if you're going to restore that car, you have to make it by hand. And that's the whole point of this, is to show you what can be done if you're willing to put in the time and put in the energy and learn the skills to do it. Anything can be fixed within reason. One of the things we have to do is put this project back out of the way so we have some room to work on that. Remember, right, one of the things that we didn't do was finish weld this front frame horn to the original piece that we left in the car. I think we got the back end pretty well done. There's a little more to do there, but that can wait till it's on the rotisserie. But we need to get this done here. And so I'm gonna just put a little back here. I'm gonna put just the slightest amount of up pressure on that car, because this frame does flex a little bit, and I do know that this side of the car is down just a little bit, and I want to raise it up like 1/8 of an inch. And the other thing, then I can use the jack here and just watch things and see if I can see where the flex is that's coming out on this side, because we do get some flex in the quarter panel. Some of that is because our trunk extension is not attached to the quarter's not on, etc., etc. But there's something else going on here. I think I got a good handle on it. Part of it's here, part of it's because the frame rail is not attached to the floor up here. There's just a lot going on. So we're getting a lot of pivot right here on this because the rest of this isn't attached. But I just want to be sure. So let's get that done first. The joys of working by yourself all the time. Okay, we got it where we can put some up pressure on it there. Now let's see what we got going on. They get a camera set up here so we can watch the frame. I've known for a while that there's a lot of movement in this quarter panel. It bows and flexes up here. The frame rail in the back moves up and down a little bit. I've spent quite a bit of time just examining and figuring out for sure 100% what's going on. And it's mostly because the quarter panel is not attached. So it's it's only 3 clicos across the top. There's nothing there, and it's not attached to the inner wheel well. So when you jack up the back of the car, the whole quarter panel is just twisting on the car a little bit, allowing this back corner to come up. There's still going to be some flexion in there. I expect that. There's a little flexion on the other side too. But I think once all of this is buttoned up, it should be nice and stiff. If it's not, remember, I have a plan B that I'm not even remotely concerned about, which I had made up my mind on that before I even started this, is if this doesn't turn out the way that I want it to, I'll throw a roll cage in it, because it's stitches and who cares. I may want to put one in it anyway, because this very well not only going to be a show quality paint job, but it may become a burnout car or something like that. So I don't know. Probably for safety's sake it wouldn't hurt, because I'm never easy on the stuff that I build. I'm not saying I'm going to, I'm just saying that's always a plan B, and it's a very good option in a car like this that's so rusty, and without going through and replacing everything, it'll stiffen it right up. But I really am curious to see how stiff it's going to get once the quarter panel's on and that inner structure work is taken care of in here. But my main concern was I hadn't looked at my frame rail to be sure that there was no flexion in the frame rail itself. I see zero. So I'm very comfortable going ahead and doing all the finish welding, getting this welded into the floor, and getting all that done, getting the subframe connector in. So we're going to go ahead and move forward now that I've taken an hour or so and just really looked things over. She ain't pretty, but she's welded. I'm not going to bother grinding any of this or finishing any of it until it's on the rotisserie. It'll just be a lot easier. I missed a spot. I got to get that cleaned up and put a bead up in there. I peened this up against the floor in here now, so we can go ahead and put our plug welds from the other side. And let's take you on the other side of the frame here and show you what all there was. There was a lot in there that wasn't welded. I didn't realize. These here are where the shock cross member goes in, so that doesn't get messed with too much. A little grinding to do there. I probably won't put the cross member back in until it's on the rotisserie. It'll be just a lot easier. There was one patch I had to put right there. That was a long time ago, but I had to come down here and weld all of that up, and got that done, and there was a couple little stitches to do there. So got that all welded up. Once it's ground up and shot with some undercoating or whatever, it'll look just fine. Again, it's stitches. I don't care if it's perfect. So I think what I want to do next is go up there, and got to do some, well, I'm not sure what I'm going to do now. I guess I may have a floor pan for this car. One of the viewers has reached out and said he has a floor pan that he's not going to use. So I think, well, I got to cut all that out of there anyway. So got to make a couple decisions here, but I think we'll go ahead and get this torsion bar welded, or subframe connector probably welded into the frame and welded into the car. So I think the next step is to get that gap welded up and get that where it needs to be, which means I need to position that on the torsion bar cross member up front. I do have a situation there I've got to address before I cut this floor pan out, and that is the cross member, the torsion bar cross member itself is mangled badly and missing a chunk. No big deal. I'm just going to make a piece to go in there, but I'm going to have to brace all of that up if we're going to cut this floor out. So that's down the road a ways, but it is definitely something that I need to be thinking about for sure. So I've got that squeezed together back here now with a clamp to hold it tight on the frame, and then got a strap around it to make sure that it's in the right place here. I'll show you where I want it. I was thinking it on this one that it came in right behind the frame rail, but it doesn't. Okay, so sorry. I want it right on the edge of that hole right there. So that's close. We're in pretty good shape. The frame is way over here. There's no way to put a subframe connector that comes over here. But still, this box is going to be nice. That's going to work well. So we'll get that done. And then once I've got the two subframe connectors in, the real nice thing is I can just weld a piece of box tube between them to stabilize that torsion bar cross member so it doesn't move, so I can cut the floor out and get things squared up and so forth there. So overall, this is going to work really well. That's down just a little teeny bit, but not enough to worry about. I got to weld that where it's cut and get that angle welded up, and then tack it there, and pull it out, finish weld it, put it back in, and we can get it welded to the frame here and be done with it. Alright, so I just cut a little wedge out of a piece of this 2x3 box tube to put in there so I can weld that up, just holding it in place with that magnet. Myself a little room, and we'll get that tacked in place, and then we'll be able to pull that subframe connector out of there, get it all welded up, and that piece will be ready to go back in the car, and I think we'll be ready to weld it into the torsion bar cross member. Okay, I got my little filler piece made here to go in there. Just something so I don't have to, fill weld everything there. So we're ready to go ahead and give that some loving with the welder. Got to go over that with the grinder real quick, clean things up, and then bzz, bzz, bzz. So our main split across the bottom is now squeezed together. I've got my little wedge piece, and I'm going to go ahead and get that tacked in place and tack it in a couple spots, and we'll go check it back in the car one more time, make 100% sure it's going to fit, and we'll be good to go. Well, ain't pretty. I'm finding the older I get, the harder time I'm being able to see what's going on. But it's welded up, and that's what matters. So I'm gonna go ahead and grind that down just a little bit. Don't care about that. I didn't go solid. I gave myself 4 1-inch stitches and put a couple spots in between down there. That'll hold that. But I want to grind anything here that might interfere. I got a big blob there and a big blob there. Probably just take the top off of that a little bit, just touch things up, and we'll be good to go. Then we'll wipe this all down, sand it all down real quick, and shoot some paint on it so that it's ready to put in the car. All right. Well, looks like it was made to go there, doesn't it? I'll be dipped. Very good. All right, I think we're ready to go underneath and do a little on the cross member and get that cleaned up and ready to put in. Very good. Very happy with that. I think we're in pretty good shape. This frame rail is right down in there where it should be. It's lined up there where it should be. I'm gonna go ahead and get a clamp on here and just squeeze this down, probably back here if I can, just to make sure it's pushed down in there as far as it could be. Got this strap here to hold it over this way where it belongs. I think we're about ready to tack weld this thing in place, but I just want to quadruple check and make sure that nothing is off before we go ahead and do that. So a couple things to do here and we should be good to move forward. Just drilling a couple of plug weld holes here to bring this end cap down to the frame support. One more. Okay. Just shift it a little bit that way, but that's not a big deal. So I think we can go ahead now and get that welded in there. And this thing is buttoning up real good, so I'm happy with the way this is turning out. So the next piece of tender and delicious goodness is to get this underseat floor pan cleaned back up again, because it's been kicking around the shop here for a year. And of course we've got our super clean. I always keep a bucket of water in the shop, but this time of year it's usually a bucket of ice. But I've been out here enough hours today that it's thawed a little bit, so that's good. Okay, we'll get that cleaned up a little bit more, and then we'll be good to go. Yes, it's going to fit beautifully. We are milliseconds away from being able to put this in. There's some trimming I need to do over here to just get this to fit a little bit better, but it's really close. And there's some cleanup over here. The other thing I want to do right now is, in preparation for putting this in, I want to go through and finish putting in the welds here into the frame, because I haven't done that yet. And something I wanted to share with you real quick. Let me grab the tool. I always try to paint everything before I put it together so it doesn't rust underneath. But then you got paint, you know, where your holes are to weld. So learn this from Fitzy over at Fitzy's Fabrication. I used to use a wire brush on this. He just says take a broken off drill bit, make sure you grind it flat, and then put that in your drill. Just put it in there. You can clean that hole up real nice. Route it around a little bit. I also want to put another hole right there, so I have another spot to spot weld, because there's not one there, and that'll, well, when we join this in there, we'll make sure that it looks good. But okay. Grab that drill bit, get that hole drilled. It's nice to have a place to sit in here now. This used to just be a big hole. You can definitely drill a plug weld hole, even though those two pieces of metal are together. Just be careful how far in you go. And then as soon as I start drilling into my back piece, I'll take this little cut-off bit and just clean it up. That takes the metal off the top as well as cleaning the hole underneath, and there you go. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 holes here to and gonna be good. I'm probably also going to eventually run a bead weld in here just because it'll give it a little extra strength against that wheel tub. But overall, she's looking pretty good. I do need to dig up in there a little bit and just see what's going on with some of that flex. But I know that what I've done here today has really stiffened this up a lot. So let's get those welded up and we'll go from there. There we go. Welded in there. Some of the welds aren't pretty, but I'm having a hard time seeing, and I don't know if it's that new welding helmet or what. I've never had issues like this in the past, but I'm getting old, so it could just be my eyes. I don't know. I do find that putting a trouble light near where I'm welding makes a difference, but you know what? It's going to hold. I still need to go around here and weld that all up solid, but I'm not doing that right now. This is the end of the frame horn here, which is tacked to that piece. This down here needs a little bit of tweaking, but that's going to blend in there really nice. So overall, looking good. So let's slap that floor pan in place, and like I said, before we can put that in, we've got a little bit of cleanup to do over here, but not a lot, and we'll be moving forward. And then once we get that in, I may go ahead and build this piece of floor pan also. I don't know. I've got a piece for this, but with this subframe connector in here, I don't know if I want to use it or if I want to just make it. So I'll make that decision eventually. Easy peasy. That's half an hour to an hour job to make this chunk of floor for both sides, I'm sure. 3 hours because I'm videoing it, but everything always takes longer. But it's good. So yeah, let's throw that floor pan in place here. Ain't she pretty? So there's some trimming and stuff to do to get it to fit, but it's going to look good, and it's going to look really good. I just need to decide where I'm going to trim it, but you know, this will be trimmed out in here because it's got bad spots. That's no big deal. Also, the seatbelt mount needs to bend up like that and go from there, but it's gonna really look awesome. Can't wait. Cannot wait. We're getting so close to having this piece done here. Well, that's definitely more good progress. So I think the next episode, unless something changes, will be getting that piece of floor pan permanently installed now that the frame rail is permanently installed and the subframe connector is permanently installed. So where we go from there, get that piece in, jump over to the passenger side, or go ahead and do that floorboard right in front. I don't know. We'll see. Doesn't really much matter, but we'll get more done here real soon. I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate all those of you who reach out with offers of parts and things that you have kicking around that I can use on this car. I appreciate all those who support the channel in so many ways. It's a little bit overwhelming to be such a small channel and have this kind of support and people reaching out, and what a community we're building here. It's just amazing to me. Also, tell me what you think about our new little shop rat. We're going to be having some merch coming out with that hopefully soon. I've got some other merch in the works as well. You guys have been asking for quite a while. Took me a while to find the right deal, but I think maybe, just maybe, we have things working forward. We'll find out probably in the next week or two here. So, all right, that's going to do it. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram, /My Cars Shop, and rock.